Hello, this is Lauren speaking, and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at what the astrology suggests as to whether, let's say, we are headed in a direction where the United States or Israel could deploy nuclear weapons in this war against Iran and Lebanon. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because in light of recent events with President Trump making absolutely horrendous threats to annihilate an entire civilization back to the Stone Age, to remove it from the face of the earth, I don't even want to get into the lunacy of what has come out of his mouth and his posts on his social truth platform, whatever. But in light of what's going on here, this is April 13th, 2026 that I'm recording this, that the talks have just fallen apart in Islamabad, Pakistan, for any type of a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. And just when the talks were announced, Netanyahu and Israel went and completely carpet-bombed, genocided within 10 or 15 minutes the city of Beirut, only civilian buildings and structures with a high death toll. And we're at a point here now where I wanted to take a look and see what is the potential of this escalating to the point of some type of nuclear warfare. So that's what I'm going to look at here. Now, let's look at the fact that, and I'm just switching over here to my notes, so bear with me, that in terms of nuclear bombs, they have been used against a country only twice, both times by the United States during World War II, specifically on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, marking the only instances of nuclear weapons being used in warfare. So I wanted to take a look at, on August 9th, 1945, at 11:02 a.m., in Nagasaki, Japan, what the astrology suggests in that horoscope for the events that took place then. And let's say it was a real eye-opener for me, because as you're going to see in this chart, the planets Mars and Uranus were conjunct together, 5 degrees apart, in the sign of Gemini. Now, what really made my eyebrows raise up is that Uranus was in the sign of Gemini back then between 1942 until 1949 for about 7 years, when this one-time event occurred in our history. And now, if you study astrology or you practice astrology, you know that Uranus, it takes about 84 years, 80 some odd years for Uranus to come back into the sign of Gemini. And here we are, April 26, 2026, Uranus will ingress into Gemini. Wow. And it's going to stay there for about 7 years until about May of 2033. So, okay, we're looking at a time period here where Uranus is coming back into Gemini, and the conjunction, and I'll talk about this when Mars and Uranus get together, but Mars is going to be conjunct because Mars is going to ingress into Gemini on June 28th, 2026, in a couple months from now, and it's going to exactly conjunct Uranus at 3 degrees of Gemini on July 4th, 2026. So we're looking at here about the last days of June and the first week of July, when these two planets are going to come together again, just like they were in 1945 when the nuclear bomb was dropped in Japan. Now, when we put Mars and Uranus together, we get daring energies, impatience, agitation, bombastic, temperamental, impulsive, disruptive, highly assertive, a tremendous urge to action, a very dominant will. It is probably one of the most, I would say, I'm thinking of a word like daredevil, accident-prone, explosive combinations there can be in astrology. Now, these two planets, Mars is going to conjunct Uranus about every 2 years. But again, keep in mind here that we're back in the sign of Gemini where it happened the last time in 1945. So I'm not trying to say this is what's going to happen. I'm saying I would say there's a little danger window going on here toward the end of June into the start of July for any kind of, I don't know if it's going to be nuclear. I don't know if it's going to be some major false flag event. I mean, what comes into my mind is the World Cup is happening during that time in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. So who knows? Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just saying this is very bombastic energies. And keep in mind that Israel is not in the World Cup because they didn't qualify. So I don't know if we're going to have another sort of like 911 event going on, or if this could potentially be because, well, Trump, makes comments and then they call him Taco Trump because he chickens out. But, I don't know where this is going to go because now he's, threatening to block the Strait of Hormuz. No ships can, like a piracy move. He's going to, any ship that comes through, they're going to block it. The whole thing is just, it's delusional. So we've got, this sort of window of time here where anything could go on. And I just want to state that over the next 7 years, while Uranus is going to be in Gemini, well, the next time Mars will conjunct Uranus in Gemini will be around June 2028. And I believe Trump may still be in office then, but we don't know. Okay, we don't know. And, between now and 2030, then again in, let's say, June of 2030. So this is what we're looking at. June 2026, June 2028, June 2030. That the same setup of Uranus and Mars together in the sign of Gemini, just like what happened in 1945, okay? That's all I'm bringing to your attention. Now, I can tell you by looking over the charts of Iran, Israel, USA, and Lebanon that there is a lot of moving parts. All these four charts are active, quite active, April, May, June. So I'm not going to make predictions here of what could potentially go on, whether it's going to be, with Israel, they don't know what a ceasefire is. They don't stop firing. Lebanon's taking a big hit. I will say that. They're under some stressful aspects, coming exact in June of 2026, these 6 months leading in, where they're under extreme force, brutality, excessive effort. I think that they're really going to be fighting back. So I don't know what could potentially happen there. I don't want to make predictions at this point. I'm just really, the point of this video was to show you that Uranus in Gemini now, just like it was back in 1945, we're going to come up here in a couple months to this, I think, this dangerous window here where Mars and Uranus are going to conjunct in Gemini. And there's just too much going on here. Everyone's horoscope is kind of lit up in June. not kind of, everyone's horoscope, USA, Israel, Iran, and Lebanon. So I don't know. I think something heightened, accelerated is coming down the pike here. Okay? I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but, this war is not going away so quickly. And the last point I'll make here, which kind of like boggles my mind how the USA got involved in this, is, they have, and I've done this in my other videos. I suggest you watch my other videos because I went through this in the USA prediction video. I went through this, the last video I did in the 12-day war with Iran. I predicted March, April of 2026. I'm not tuning my horn here, but the predictions I said of what's going to happen and the gates of hell are going to be opened up on Israel. This is exactly what's going on. Please watch my previous videos. But the point I want to make is that, transiting Neptune in the USA chart is opposed to midheaven, or I should say the last hit of Neptune opposed to midheaven was March 1st, 2026, the day after February 28th, when they started this war. Well, I don't think the U.S. Officials, I don't think they use astrology here, because who would start a war under a Neptune transit to the midheaven? And everything that's gone on here with the idealism, the lies, the deception, Hegseth saying that, Iran has nothing left, and then Iran is just abolishing the United States. It's just lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. And talk about an ego wipeout for the Neptune opposed to midheaven. The midheaven is the Republicans party in office. It's the head of state, Trump. I mean, it's a complete just a demolition. It's a ridiculousness. It's a make-believe lies and deception, of where the U.S. is. It's pretty obvious. If you follow alternative news, it's pretty obvious that Iran has won this, is in a much stronger position at this point. And God knows what the U.S. and Israel are going to do. That's my concern. What kind of BS they're going to pull here in the next 3 months. Okay? So that's all. Just wanted to share that for astrology's sake, and we'll see what happens. And prayers go out, of course, to all of humanity. It's, just a lot of moving pieces. It's just a crazy Hollywood movie at this point. All right, my dears, thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, because they do hide my videos, so I appreciate if you share it, subscribe, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. So take care, and thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye now.